All right. Today, we're diving into the brilliant and, let's be honest, sometimes really confusing world of Jacques Lacan. He gave us this incredible framework for understanding the human mind, and we're going to try to map it all out. I mean, have you ever just stopped and wondered, why do I do that? Why do we chase things that we know are going to make us miserable? Or why do we keep getting stuck in the exact same loops over and over again? It's a huge question about who we are, really.
Well, Lacan, he was not a guy who settled for easy answers. He dug deep, like really deep, into the structures of our minds. And what he came up with was this idea that our relationship with desire and with the rules of society, what he famously called the law, it's not the same for everyone. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. So, here's a good way to think about it. Imagine our minds aren't just running one single program. Lacan's whole argument is that we're basically operating on one of three totally distinct systems. He called them neurosis, psychosis, and perversion. And look, it's super important to get this. These are not insults or judgments. They're just different ways our minds process the world around us.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about neurosis. This one is, by a long shot, the most common structure. It's the one most of us are probably running on right now. You can think of it as the standard issue software for just getting by in society.
So, what does it actually mean to be neurotic, according to Lacan? Well, at its heart, it's all about a constant internal conflict. We've got these desires, right? But they clash with what society expects of us. That's the law again. And our main way of dealing with this clash, it's repression. We just kind of shove those unacceptable thoughts and wishes down, push them out of our conscious mind. And this is where it gets really, really interesting. Lacan looked at things like anxiety or phobias, and he didn't see them as just random bugs in the system. No way. He saw them as coded messages. It's the voice of our repressed desires trying to get a message out, trying to communicate with the world, with what he calls the symbolic other, which is basically society or authority figures or even language itself.
Now, neuroses usually shows up in one of two main flavors. You've got hysteria, which is driven by this constant question, what do you want from me? Who am I to you? The whole game is to keep desire going by making sure it's never quite satisfied. And then on the other side, you have obsession. The obsessive's move is to try and control everything by basically shutting down desire altogether, neutralizing the messy, unpredictable wants of other people so they don't have to feel vulnerable.
Okay, moving on. Our next structure is a whole different ballgame. It's like it builds a completely different reality. This is psychosis. And if we're sticking with our computer metaphor, this is a totally custom-built operating system, one that works on its own unique set of rules. And here is the absolute key difference. The neurotic represses the law. They push it down. But in psychosis, that fundamental law, it was never installed to begin with. Lacan has a specific term for this anchor point of shared reality. He calls it the name of the father. It's what grounds us in social rules. So for the psychotic subject, it's not repression, it's what he calls foreclosure. Think of it this way. The file wasn't just hidden away, it was never even downloaded. You can imagine the consequences of this. They're profound. If you don't have that central anchor, the entire system of meaning, language itself, just functions differently. Words and reality, they don't link up in the same stable, predictable way they do for pretty much everyone else.
And this really gets to the heart of the difference. A neurotic person is just plagued by doubt. Does he like me? Should I have said that? What does this all mean, right? But the psychotic subject, they experience an absolute unshakable certainty. There is zero room for questioning. The message comes through from the universe with total clarity. All right, that brings us to our third and final structure, perversion. So if the neurotic is the standard user and the psychotic has a custom OS, the pervert is the expert user. They're the hacker who knows the entire system inside and out, all the rules, all the backdoors, all the loopholes. So the core move for the pervert is something Lacan calls disavowal. It's this tricky thing where they see the law, they totally get it, they understand it perfectly, but at the exact same time, they deny that it has any real authority over them. It's a constant, yeah, I know that's the rule, but. They don't see the law as this universal truth. For them, it's just a tool, something you can use and manipulate. And this leads to a really fascinating paradox. The pervert isn't actually trying to tear down the system. They're not an anarchist who wants to destroy all the rules. Actually, it's kind of the opposite. Their goal is to provoke the law,
to make it show its hand. They want to back someone else into a corner so that person has no choice but to lay down the law and reveal their will.
So what they do is they set up these scenarios that are specifically designed to force an authority figure, the other, to impose a rule. It's a strange thing, really. They're almost trying to prove the law is real by making someone else become its enforcer. It's like they're staging a play and forcing the other to take the director's chair.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together now. Why does any of this matter? What's the point of this three-part map? Well, it gives us a really powerful way to understand not just different symptoms, but completely different ways of being in the world and relating to reality itself.
So here's the breakdown in a nutshell. You have the neurotic, who is in conflict with the law, uses repression, and is pretty much defined by doubt. Then you have the psychotic, for whom the law is just absent because of foreclosure, which leads to this absolute certainty. And finally, the pervert, who manipulates the law using disavowal and is always looking for provocation.
But here's the most crucial takeaway. Lacan was not creating these neat little boxes to shove people into. This is not about going out and diagnosing your friends or family. It's a tool, a way of thinking about the deep architecture of our inner worlds, how we're all shaped by language and that constant, endless pursuit of desire.
So really, this whole framework, it's a map. It's a map of our fundamental relationship to rules, to desire, and to certainty. It's a pretty complex map, for sure, but then again, we have pretty complex internal worlds, don't we? So the final question to leave you with is, if this is the map, where do you see echoes of yourself?